Denise, Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, it's Denise, Denise, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party, it's a podcast party.
I gotta say, I feel like we're besties now after this. What's up, guys? It's Denise Salcedo. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Speak Now Pro Wrestling. I'm your host, Denise Salcedo. It is September 23rd. You are here on F4W Online, and we got a loaded show for you here tonight. First and foremost, for those of you who have been here, you guys have been knowing the last couple of, this whole week, my voice has been a nightmare. Today's the best that it's been so far, but I still have, a cough that's been, nagging me. It's been coming and going pretty much, the whole day. So today, I have a very special guest who's coming in to help basically fill this hour with me, and that is Grapsity's very own Phil Lindsey. What's up, Phil?
What's up? 4 hours of wrestling, because who needs sleep?
Exactly. How did you feel doing 4 hours of wrestling today?
When they announced that they were doing a 2 hour rampage, I was like, oh, I was hoping we were getting 1 hour again, but it was actually a pretty fun show. I can't complain too much, but I definitely like 1 hour rampage better.
It's a lot, man. I feel like it's super late because obviously if you're on the East Coast right now, it's already midnight for you. Thank God I'm in the West Coast because it's barely 9 o'clock for me. I can still have an evening after the show. But for most people, it's you either go to bed or that's it. It's funny because I kept forgetting if Rampage was going to be an hour or 2 hours today. I actually texted Will and I was like, hey, dude, is Rampage an hour today or 2 hours? But when I saw the card, I'm like, there's no way that's fitting in a 1 hour show. So definitely a nice 2 hours. There was just so much happening.
Yeah, and you got Victory Road tonight too. It's just a lot of wrestling.
I watched it side by side, by the way. I watched Victory Road at the same time as I was watching SmackDown. Unfortunately, I did miss a lot of Victory Road, but some of the stuff that I wanted to see, I did make sure to get a good glimpse of it. So I was very happy about that. But we are going to go ahead.
Debuting Bobby Fish.
Oh, you know what's okay. So this is gonna sound very weird, but I was watching the show, right? And I had the Impact show on mute, and I was watching SmackDown, and then I saw Bobby Fish come out, and I was like, oh yeah, Bobby Fish. And then I just turned and I kept watching SmackDown, and then I was like, oh wait, Bobby Fish. So it took me a second to really even register that he was on the show.
Yeah, the timing of him debuting today and that story coming out that he's been trying to get the guy to go back to WWE is pretty funny.
It's just whatever, it's so crazy. With all of the different stories that have been coming out in wrestling, that's definitely one for sure. Alrighty, so we are going to go ahead and kick things off with SmackDown, and then right after that, we'll go ahead and get into Rampage. There's obviously going to be things that we're going to spend more time on, and then we'll go ahead and the things that are not so important, we'll just kind of gloss over a little bit, just because there is so much to talk about today. However, just to let you guys know, that if you're new here, this is a very interactive show. So if you guys want to send in your thoughts, your comments, your rants, your opinions, whatever it is, you are more than welcome to, and I will be pulling some of those up throughout the stream. However, if you do send in a super chat, not only does your question or comment or whatever it is get read on the stream, it also helps support me, helps support Phil, who's my guest today on the show, and it just really helps to support the show overall. So feel free to send in super chats. We actually have our first one from Steven, who says, late night podcast party, let's go. It is a late night podcast party, so I'm definitely going to try to keep it within the hour, because people got things to do, man. So let's kick it off with Phil. I'm so excited that we're kicking the show off with probably one of my favorite things that we have seen in WWE, maybe even in wrestling in general, in quite some time. And this was the opening of SmackDown. So Roman Reigns comes out and, he's there with the entire bloodline. We know we hadn't seen Roman Reigns in a couple of weeks, and he's there with everybody. And for the most part, the beginning was kind of every single thing you've been seeing from the bloodline for the most part, the last couple of weeks, right? You got them talking about Solo Sikoa. You got Paul Heyman talking about Solo Sikoa. And it basically gets down to Roman Reigns telling Solo Sikoa, hey, man, I know the elders sent you, but now you got to listen to me because I'm your chief. I'm your tribal chief. So they hug it out. all of that. It's about to end. Things are about to, they're going to go to the back and whatnot. But then afterwards, Sami Zayn takes the microphone and he starts talking. This basically leads Roman Reigns to look at him and go like, why are you even wearing our shirt? Why are you even tagging along with us? And we've known for the most part that this whole entire time they're leading to, turning on our guy, Sami Zayn. And they basically set this up to the point where Roman Reigns was kind of like being super fucked up to Sami Zayn. And Sami Zayn had like the really sad face, looking like so heartbroken. And Roman Reigns starts telling him, take that shirt off. Take that shirt off. And then finally, the Bloodline, the Usos, rip the shirt off of him like it's freaking Cinderella and the ugly stepsisters. And then...
Not the reference I would have came up with, but okay.
I thought about it right away. And then... lo and behold, it's a giant swerve, and Roman Reigns presents him with a new t-shirt that says Honorary Us. Phil, how did you feel about this?
First of all, we gotta appreciate Samantha Irwin. Just the way that she announced them coming out. She was in her bag. I loved it. But no, this segment was amazing. I think the stuff with Sami is the best stuff Roman has done possibly all year. I think Sami is perfect in this role. Jay being the biggest hater in the world and standing behind him and waiting for Roman to pounce. And the second he's like, take that shirt off, he's like, yeah, take our shirt off. Take our shirt off. And he is the first one that jumps out there and rips the shirt off. And after he gives him the shirt, the new shirt, he's standing back there with the biggest like boo-boo face ever. He's just like, this guy, we just cannot get rid of this guy. I thought the swerve was perfect. I think when they finally do turn on him and they kick him out, it's going to be so heartbreaking. Because I was sitting there as it was happening like, oh, no, don't do Sami like that. But, no, this was great. Everything about the way that they brought Solo in, they brought Solo in seamlessly. And it doesn't seem like it, but Paul hasn't been off TV on TV for a while. So having Paul back added so much to their act again. I loved it. I thought this segment was amazing.
I thought this was honestly one of my favorite things that I had seen in a long time, because we all knew that it was coming, right? At some point. We don't know when they're doing like the official turn on Sami Zayn. But even then, even though we all know that it's coming, and we got like a tease of that today, we all were like, no, like this cannot be happening. And the thing is that Roman Reigns was like super convincing with like his facials, the way that he was talking to him. And Sami Zayn is really great with the facials. So he's doing like the puppy dog SpongeBob is crying look, and you can't help but to just be like, like, oh my God, like you feel so bad for him. And I fell for it 100%. I thought, oh, this is it, this is a turn, this is when it's happening. And when he basically threw him the new t-shirt, like my heart melted into like 1,000,000 degrees. It was like such a nice moment. I feel like this is probably one of the best like executed like bits that they've done in a very long time.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, after it was over, I was like, well, of course they're not going to kick Sami out yet, because I'm assuming that they're going to be one of the teams in the War Games match. They need 5 guys, so of course Sami's still going to be there.
We literally got everybody here on the chat saying that Sami and Jay were the stars of the show, really putting over how much they love this segment. I haven't seen anybody trash this segment because it was legitimately really good, especially that portion. We got a super chat here from Sheldon Jackson who says, do you all think that the Usos will break the New Day's tag team record of 483 days, reign of tag team champions, and who finally ends their reign? Honestly, at this point, like, I feel, you know what? I don't know, but I'm just like ready for them to like not be tag team champions anymore. To like, I know, like, keep the gold on the Bloodline. That's perfectly fine and all, but it does kind of feel like you just want to see like, I feel like the SmackDown tag team division is looking a lot better. So we are having a little bit more options than we did like a couple months ago. Thoughts on this, Phil?
I thought the video package they played for this was really good. I don't think that they bring this up if they're not going to break the record. I don't want them to break the record, but I think they're going to. And as far as who's going to beat them, I can see Imperium being the guys that beats them. It makes a lot of sense for Imperium, and especially if you want to set up Gunther versus Roman later down the line, that makes perfect sense.
That would be awesome too. I wouldn't be opposed to that because Imperium and the Brawling Brutes are literally like my favorite thing right now on SmackDown, like legitimately. All right. So one of the things that we saw today on SmackDown as well was Liv Morgan versus Lacey Evans. But it's not even the match that I want to talk about. It's more so what happened afterwards because Liv Morgan ends up getting the win, which, by the way, good. They need to keep giving her wins like this. But the one thing that they've been kind of telling is that Liv Morgan doesn't have the killer instinct, right? That she doesn't have what it takes to be extreme and really be this champion and all of this, right? So we kind of saw a new version of Liv Morgan that we really hadn't seen before today. After she defeated Lacey Evans, she continued the attack on Lacey Evans, ended up putting her on a table, went to the top rope, and then she ended up doing a senton onto the freaking table with Lacey Evans on it. And the camera work for this was absolutely phenomenal. I thought it completely like changed my perception of Liv Morgan within seconds. Phil, what do you think that this did for Liv Morgan as a champion? And do you feel like this is what they needed to do with her?
I thought it was great. I wasn't the biggest fan of the match itself. The match seemed like it was going on a bit long, but I thought the table spot was tremendous. I thought the way that Liv sold it afterwards and the way she looked straight in the camera and called out Rousey was great. I think this definitely makes her look better as champion, and I think this makes her look like a more believable opponent for Ronda coming into the match. But I still think Ronda's going to beat her.
You think this is it? You don't think they're going to actually do it right this time and actually give like Liv Morgan a dominant win?
No, I think Ronda's going to beat her, and I wouldn't be surprised if Shayna helps Ronda win.
I have a feeling Liv Morgan's actually going to retain this one. And I personally would kind of want to see it because I don't want to just see like, I don't know, like I want more out of this championship run. Like we waited so long. We were also happy for Liv Morgan when this happened, and she's constantly being doubted, right? And so for her to finally like have moments like this, and I know somebody already mentioned like we had seen the killer instinct from her when she faced Becky Lynch, and while we did see that, I feel like we just saw like a different version of it. Like I feel like the Becky Lynch feud elevated Liv Morgan to the point where you can actually see her in the title picture. But this tonight basically kind of gave you a little bit of like, you know, she's not just a champion with like, she's just not like a person with a belt that's an accessory. Like she could be more than that.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely feel like Liv is going to get close to winning this match, and she's going to get cheated. I just feel like the way they've been setting up all the Shayna stuff backstage, and how even Ronda saying in that report that came out that she wants them to push Shayna, it just feels like they're leaning towards Ronda and Shayna at some point, either teaming up or having a match. So I think that's where we're going.
Interesting stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and hop into the New Day versus the Maximum Male Models. Phil, what is your thoughts on this? Because I know how I feel about the Maximum Male Models. I'm curious, where do you stand on this whole thing?
Will Washington does not speak for our podcast. This gimmick is not good. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
This gimmick is not good. And I like a lot of guys involved in it. I like Marseille. I like Mansoor a lot. But this act is not good. They've got to get Max out of this thing. Give him something else to do. Make him LA Knight again. Let this guy wrestle. Let him do anything other than this. I am tired of seeing the New Day get these eked out wins where they have to win by roll up. This is one of the greatest tag teams you have in the company. Why are they narrowly beating somebody like Maximum Male Models? That doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I don't know. Everything about this felt like filler. It all just feels like, you know, a placeholder until they're ready to move Max on to something else.
It's trash. I'm sorry. They've had some, I'm not going to lie, like they've had some LOL moments, okay? Like you can't help it. Like you laugh when they do the facial expressions because it's stupid. It's corny, right? You're going to laugh a little bit. But as a whole, they basically told you, don't care about these guys. You don't have to care about these guys because the matches we've seen them in have been terrible. And they basically feel like what we were already seeing with the tag team division, which was basically nothing with like Humberto and freaking Angel Garza, having them do these goofy little matches that they're doing. Same thing with Viking Raiders. You know, they did so much of that goofy stuff that it basically made you not want to care.
Yeah.
We got a super chat here from Carlos Hronika. Thank you so much to Carlos. I'm so sorry if I messed up your last name, by the way. But he says, I just wanted to let you know that Friday Night SmackDown gets repeated on FS2, Fox Sports 2 at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's 9 Pacific Standard Time. I didn't know that. So the only reason I get to watch SmackDown like at the time that I do is because Fox Sports basically allows the West Coast to get the East Coast feed of SmackDown. If it wasn't for the Fox Sports Live app, I'd have to be like streaming it on those like illegal websites, which I had to do in the past, and it was terrible because have you ever seen the comment sections for those?
Yeah, it's not good. A lot of comment sections for anything wrestling related live streams are terrible.
It's so bad. Like for those like streams, oh my God, like there's just some comments where I'm like, what are we talking about here? And then you can't even get rid of them.
No. Yeah, I'm on Central Time, so I just watch it at regular time.
Lucky you, man. Lucky. All right. After this, we got Braun Strowman versus Otis. This was actually something that I was looking forward to because, it's two big, beefy guys. You're going to, be interested in it. We saw like pretty much a little bit of everything. We saw Braun Strowman hit he did like a drop kick that I didn't totally love. Afterwards, we saw him, excuse me, sorry, my throat. Strowman hits a spine buster, and then Otis does a power bomb. Excuse me. I'll take over.
So, I was curious how they were going to do this match. I was surprised they made it kind of a competitive match. Wait, I hope Denise is okay over there. I was surprised we got kind of a competitive match out of Braun because usually they don't do competitive matches with him. And I think this kind of reminded people how good Otis is. I think Otis had fallen into a rut of being a comedy act with Gable for so long that this was a nice way to remind people this guy is actually very good in ring. It was a good win for Braun. I was surprised this was such a competitive match because some of the attraction behind Braun is that he's a monster and he beats guys pretty quick. I guess Denise is still here somewhere. I hope this is not like completely incapacitated because like it looked like her chair flipped over here. But yeah, I'm curious what people in the chat thought about this match. I thought it was a fun match. There she is. She's back.
And I'm dying. All right. Everybody knows I'm dying.
I thought this was just like a brief cough, and then it looked like your chair flipped over. I was like, wait a minute. Are you okay?
You're making me laugh now. I'm dying. This is literally like the worst. I just got like a major cough attack, and I was like, yep, can't make it, can't speak. This is why you're here, Phil. This is why you're here. I warned you ahead of time.
So while you're away, I was basically saying I was surprised this was such a competitive match because a big part of the appeal of Braun is that he beats people quick. He's a big monster, but I thought they gave Otis a lot of offense here, and I thought Otis looked great.
Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, I completely agree. Like, this was basically everything that I kind of wanted out of Braun Strowman and Otis. It was fun. Braun Strowman has been over ever since he returned. Like, people are liking this return. So I liked it. This was good. Otis basically getting the power bomb. It looked awesome. It was good stuff. All right, so I'm curious about this one, how you felt about this, because this was Drew McIntyre coming out and basically announcing the strap match at Extreme Rules against Karrion Kross. So first and foremost, how have you been feeling about Karrion Kross thus far on SmackDown?
Karrion is one of those guys like Braun that you could tell he wanted to be back in WWE. So I was happy he got a second chance, especially because his first time around, they didn't really use him the way they should have on the main roster. So it's just cool to see him do what got him over in NXT. With that said, boy, is some of this stuff cheesy. The whole distraction of Scarlett coming out, and then we got a fireball spot that was very unclear at first. I didn't really realize it was a fireball until they replayed it. I think it served its purpose to set up the Extreme Rules match. Cool, but I don't know. I think your mileage will vary on how much you like the sports entertainery stuff here.
So I'm just going to be real with you over here. I thought that this was just like, here's the thing, like Karrion Kross is supposed to be like this menacing force to Drew McIntyre, right? And when Drew McIntyre had him out there and he was hitting him with the strap, he was like running away. Karrion Kross is like running away, right? And I'm thinking like, no, that's not the character. The character, he should not be running away from Drew McIntyre. He should be like, trying to take the pain, getting in his face, that sort of thing, more like a Gunter Sheamus type of vibe. So I didn't like that Karrion Kross was like going away from Drew McIntyre. And then when Scarlett went in there and she hit the fireball. Oh my God, it was just so super random. Like it didn't really like fit in there. It just kind of felt like there was just too much happening. Then when she hits him with the low blow, I'm thinking like, first you get the guy with the fireball, then you get him with the low blow. What the hell? Like this is just crazy,
Yeah, I will say with him running away, I think part of the thing that kind of threw people off with his NXT run is that he was so dominant so fast. And I think because of that, people turned on him a little bit. So I think they kind of learned their lesson this time around. So they're trying to ease him in. And I think that's smart because I don't think that if you have him come in and just beat Drew straight away, I don't think people are going to like that.
And here's the thing too, like I almost feel like he should technically be more afraid of Scarlett than he even is of Karrion Kross. Like it sounds so bad, but like I just don't feel like right now they've been really presenting Karrion Kross like the way that they should kind of be. Like the cross jacket, I'm not a fan of that move either. Like I don't know why, but it looks very silly to me. Maybe it's the execution. I don't know. Like I can't really buy it.
Yeah, and it's got kind of a cheesy name. I think his other finisher he was using is better. But again, I'm on the wait and see with Kross. Anything is better than having him come out there with the gimp mask and stuff on. So this is at least progress.
That's true. That's true. It was funny too when he announced the strap match. I was like, oh no, we all remembered the straps that Karrion Kross had on Raw. I was like, I'm not even going to make that joke on Twitter. Let's just forget that even happens. We got a super chat here from Steven who says, Scarlett went Mortal Kombat. Get the Vicks, Denise. Don't mention it. Don't mention it. I'm dying. All right. Let's talk about the tease. 9/23. September 23rd, we were supposed to get, I don't know what, okay? That was what was promoted on Raw that we were supposed to get something for today. And a lot of people were thinking, oh, it's going to happen today at 9/23. And instead, we ended up getting a commercial, which apparently we had some QR codes. And if you're anything like me, you're not even scanning the QR codes. But apparently, there was some QR codes to sign. And this is basically leading us to promoting Raw. So, like, we should tune into Raw to find out more. Were you disappointed today in the whole 9/23 stuff?
I wasn't disappointed because I mean, although I did want to see what was going to happen, I've been kind of preparing myself for if Bray does come back, it's probably going to be at the pay-per-view. Um, so I've been kind of preparing myself for this to be a tease. Um, it would have been nice if they gave us a little bit more than what they gave us. I think the flyer thing they did was kind of cool, but it would have been nice if we got something more than that.
I think so too, because I feel like people tuned in and they were just expecting, like, a lot of people are thinking, like, okay, today's going to be Bray Wyatt's debut. And I feel like much more people tuned in anticipation for that. And like, nobody wants to tune in to see a QR code. Like, for me, that kind of felt like a little bit like,
No.
oh, you guys just like really made us like tune in for like nothing. Like, we could have just found out on Twitter, you know? I didn't miss anything. Had I not watched SmackDown, I would have not missed like anything important in terms of like there being a special debut or a special surprise or something like that.
No, this felt very much like the Cody watch before WrestleMania, where every week we were like, "Oh, is this the week?" And I think that's why I had been preparing myself. Like they're probably going to save it for the pay-per-view.
And we got a super chat here from Chris Rico who says that was nerve-wracking. I'm guessing you're meaning the 920, the 9, keep wanting to say 924, the 923 thing. I guess so, because I kept looking, and even when like the moment happened, I kept thinking like, oh, maybe something will happen before the close of the show. And I always look at the time to see how much time we had left. And I think we had like 3.5 minutes left for the show. So I thought like, oh, maybe something's going to happen, you know, and nothing happened at all.
Yeah.
Which kind of sucked. Really, it did. Alrighty. After this, we did get a match between Rio, who defeated Io. I don't really have anything I want to add about this. Phil, did you have anything to add about this one?
Io. Oh, the women's match, Dakota versus Raquel, right?
Shit. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. No, it was what it is what it is. I still don't really understand why Shotzi is siding with Raquel out of nowhere. They haven't really explained that well. The whole passing line of she just doesn't like bullies, but a few weeks ago she was just a heel. So I don't know, but it is good that they turned Shotzi back into a face because she is just better as a face. Bring the tank back. Just go all the way in.
And for the main event, we had the Usos versus the Brawling Brutes. This was actually pretty fun. There was a really awesome spot that I absolutely loved, and that was obviously when Butch did the moonsault, only to find himself getting super kicked by the Usos. That was really great. We also had when Ridge was like literally lifting up both the Usos and like slammed them down to the mat. In the end, we do see the Usos win. Imperium basically came in like right before that, which pretty much cost them the victory here. Anything you want to add on this main event?
No, it was a fun match. Sammy continues to be obnoxious and fun to watch. His taunts throughout the match was great. No, it was a fun match. I didn't expect Brawling Brutes to win here. I didn't expect as many people to interfere in this thing, but again, if it's just to set us up for Imperium versus Usos at some point, I'm for it.
Sweet. Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I'm sorry. I actually feel worse today than I did on Tuesday and Wednesday, which is kind of like terrible to say, but whatever. We're working through it. We're going to go ahead and hop right into Rampage now that we kind of went over SmackDown. But just a heads up, guys, if you want to get your questions, comments, or statements read on this podcast, feel free to send in a super chat. It also helps support this show. So let's get into Rampage Grand Slam. Phil, did you know many of the spoilers going into the show?
Unfortunately, the Muda thing had been spoiled for me right away. That was the only thing that was really spoiled, and it would have been a nice surprise, but it was still cool to see Muda.
Yeah, that was the same thing that happened to me. That was like the only moment that was spoiled. I think there was like one other thing, but for the most part, I didn't know like the outcome for most of the matches or stuff like that. But let's go ahead and kick it off with the first match that we got, which was the House of Black versus Sting and Darby. A no DQ tag team match. Like they went full out during this one, really just going out there and doing some really awesome stuff that we got. I think the thing that I really want to talk about, obviously the major thing is that we had the whole moment where Brody and Julia essentially handcuffed Sting. They end up handcuffing him to the chair. And prior to the Great Muta coming out, we did have Darby Allin do the coffin drop like right off the stage, which was kind of crazy. So they did a couple of stuff on the stage. And then afterwards, when this had the whole moment with the Great Muta was awesome. I feel like I missed out on the reaction again because it was spoiled for me on social media, but it was still a great moment, especially knowing like the history between both of those guys and, you know, what they did together in their revolutionary feud. Like kind of seeing all of that was still pretty freaking awesome. But what we need to talk about too is the spot where Julia went through the table. It was so freaking brutal. What did you think of that, Phil?
I hope she's okay because it looked bad. I mean, she just tweeted today about her new tattoo, so hopefully it's a good sign she's okay, but it looked bad. I mean, the Darby thing scared me at first too, and he tweeted that he had to get stitches. It looked pretty gruesome. But no, this was fun. It does kind of make me sad that we don't know what the future is for House of Black because they have such a cool presentation, just their entrance with Julia and everything. I really like Brody King, and it kind of feels like they're kind of left in the lurch at this point. Like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Dude, it was absolutely sick though. Like seeing Julia, like the spot where like the mist and everything, all of that was really cool. And then Julia just flies off. And all I see is like just like her bottom like hit the like barely the edge of the table, and then like her head and her upper body like hitting like the railings and the concrete. It was terrible to see. Like I had to go back and like get a replay of that. It was brutal. So you know, hopefully she is okay. I'm assuming we would have heard by now if she wasn't. So good for her because that could have been like a really ugly spot for sure. But other than that, like this was a really awesome way to open up the show. I think like just a lot of action. We got Carlos here who sends in a super chat saying, send me a private message on Twitter. I will send you my Hall slime coughs drops, Denise. Thank you very much. Thank you. We got Brian Miles who sends in a super chat saying, what's the plan for Jade? Are they stalling until they find someone to beat her? I like her, but at this point, I just want to see the TBS title used to elevate other women. I kind of feel like now that they've gone so far in with Jade, I feel like whoever they have that will eventually be the person to take off the TBS championship, it's got to be to build a new star. Thoughts on this?
I feel like they've got to get a story. It can't be just somebody just shows up and beats her. I feel like there has to be like a storied reason. It has to be somebody that she with. Will predicted Willow, and I think that's a great prediction. I keep seeing people say like it makes sense for Red to be the one to eventually beat her because they have so much history together. That also makes sense. I'm not ready for her to lose though. I think watching her beat people decisively is fun. We don't have that many dominant women's champions in America. We definitely don't have that many dominant Black women's champions in America, and so it's fun to just watch her. Every match, people are like, all right, well, this is the one. She's going to have a longer match with him. And it's like, nope, she's just going to beat him quick.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, when Will mentioned Willow Nightingale, I thought, dude, she would be like the perfect person because she kind of hits like all of this check marks of like who you would want to actually like where this would actually elevate somebody, like propel them into like this new level. That would be phenomenal. Right now, I can't really think of anybody else that would be in that spot. And since we're talking about Jade, we might as well talk about her match with Diamante, obviously for the AEW TBS Championship match. This was your pretty much like straightforward. Like I feel like every Jade Cargill match that we've recently been getting, where she gets the pump kick in there. I did like that baseball slide from Diamante. I thought that was phenomenal. And she hits the Jaded and she gets the win.
Yeah, I thought it was cool to see Diamante get on TV. They should use her more. I thought it was cool for her to get the moment of coming out with Trina, and Jade always finds a way, even if she beats somebody decisively, to throw out a new move. That F5 looked great. Like she's good at hitting the big moves. Whether you think that she's rough in certain spots or not, she is great at hitting the big moves. And so I thought this was fun for what it was. I, of course, predicted right away that Trina was going to flip sides because, no, it just makes more sense for her to be on Jade's side. And just seeing a big smile on her face after she raised Jade.
And we got a comment here from Adam Legend who says she looked like a monster when she caught called Diamante with the F5 on the apron. I want her to get a 50 and no. I want her to get to like a really good number. Like it's either got to be like 69, 100, some awesome number.
Okay. Well, yeah, I think it also hurt them that Statlander got hurt too. Statlander made a lot of sense to beat her at one point. So I don't know. I am fine with them waiting until they have the right person. They don't need to just have her lose just for the sake of.
100%. All right, so let's go ahead and get into another person that we got to see wrestle for the first time today, and that was Action Bronson and Hook teaming up to take on 2.0, Matt Menard and Angelo Parker. I'm just gonna be real with you. I did not know what to expect from Action Bronson, like whatsoever, and I gotta say, like he didn't do a bad job whatsoever. Like he looked like he was having a good time. I love the way that he ran the ropes. I thought he brought some intensity. Like he laid his shit in. What did you think of this match?
That was great. I was wondering because when Bronson came out at All Out, he didn't just wrap Hook down to the ring, and I was like, okay, do the entrance. That's what I want to see you do. So I was really excited to see him actually wrap the entrance this time, and it looked great. I think the way he hit the ropes, like you said, looked great. I thought his shoulder charge looked great. I thought that flushing whatever they called it, Queen flushing stampede looked great. He looked good. He looked a lot better than I expected him to. And I mean, Hook is Hook. Hook at this point, he's impressive. So I felt like this was a good way to showcase him and give him like an attraction match. I thought it was great. Not much else you can get out of it. It just was kind of a fun match.
And I love the finish too when they both did the red rum. Like that was great. Like having both guys tough out. It was just a fun like little visual. So that was really awesome. And who knows? Maybe we'll see more of Action Bronson. I don't know what's going on there, but I would like to see a little bit more. Alrighty, guys. So let's go ahead and get into the next match that we got here. This was Wardlow and Samoa Joe versus Josh Woods and Tony Nese. This match ended a lot faster than I was expecting it to, but realistically, I don't think it really needed to go that long. Yeah. So I guess it was fine for for what it was, especially given like how many matches we were getting throughout the entire night. But my favorite thing of this entire thing was legitimately Samoa Joe not giving like two shits about Tony Nese. Like Tony Nese doing his spot off the top rope and just like going right into the mat, and Samoa Joe just being like, yeah, like this guy just threw himself onto the floor, and then essentially, hitting the muscle buster for the actual win. This was fun. And what did you think of the match, and what did you think of the post-match stuff with Mark Sterling as well?
I thought it was good. I will never not laugh at Joe basically just like, nah, we're not falling for that. We're not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. And the way he hits his Uranagi out of the corner looks great every time he does it. Yeah, I thought it was good. It didn't really need to be a long match. It serves its purpose. I thought the after the match stuff was good. Mark is very good at taking a beating. He's very good at being annoying and getting us to want to see him get beat up. I don't know why people are wondering if Wardlow's hurt. I hope he's okay. I kept seeing that on Twitter. Like people were saying, is he okay?
I didn't notice anything that I thought like maybe Wardlow wasn't okay. So I don't even know. Like I'm seeing it here in the chat. If anybody wants to like throw that in there, I don't know, but I didn't see any of that. So
I saw people saying Jade was limping too, but I don't know if that was just her working or not.
And now what was probably like one of like the matches that I think just was really, really enjoyable to watch. And it was the first time match between Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix. This one was literally like, I think what you would kind of like want to see out of these two guys. But in terms of Jungle Boy and Rey Fenix, just going like this really like fast-paced style, I thought it was really enjoyable to watch. I love the Escalera from Rey Fenix. That was awesome. The super kick from Jungle Boy to Fenix. That was awesome. The reverse Hurricanrana. That was another awesome match. And then clearly there was the post-match angle where we saw Christian Cage come in, Luchasaurus attacking Jungle Boy, and then basically like Christian Cage cutting his Mean Girls promo on Jungle Boy. All of this is good stuff. Like I have like a prediction of where I feel this is going. But before I get to that, Phil, how did you feel about this actual match? Do you think it delivered? And where do you see this going?
Yeah, I thought this was possibly the best match on this card. It wasn't as spot heavy as I thought it was going to be. It was pretty much a grueling match. Like it was a lot of strikes in there. There were a lot of chop exchange. Like even some of those apron spots where they were laying in the forearms, I thought it was really good. And I think when they did give us the spots, they felt more important because they felt earned. So yeah, I thought it was a good match.
I do agree with you too. I think I was expecting a little bit more of the spot fest, but I did feel like they delivered just enough. So in terms of predictions here, I really think, or this would be like an idea that I would just throw out there, is I can see Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus doing like a hair versus mask match. And obviously with Jungle Boy winning, how would you feel about like Luchasaurus actually maybe even possibly like losing his match and if his mask, and maybe seeing something along the lines of what we saw with Christian and Tomko, but instead with Christian and Luchasaurus? Do you think Luchasaurus should continue the like dinosaur gimmick, or do you think like we should get past that?
I don't know. I do think that's smart to do a kind of like wager match with them, but I don't know what they would do with him if he doesn't do the dinosaur gimmick, because it's such a big part of his character. And I do like heel Luchasaurus, but I wonder, like, what do you do with him if you take the mask off of him?
That's what I was wondering too, but I feel like here's the thing though, like there's more range, I think, if he were to, stop doing the dinosaur stuff, because I feel like the dinosaur stuff really works when he's actually with Jungle Boy, but if he's if he's doing the stuff with Christian Cage, I feel like they could like take off the dinosaur stuff and they could do like more of like a serious type of presence for him, change the name, change everything. I don't know. I feel like it could be a direction, and it could be like a new added like character element for Luchasaurus. So it would be interesting, and I'm wondering if that idea has even been toyed with.
Have you ever seen him without his mask on? He kind of looks like Jeremy Lambert.
I have actually seen him one time without his mask, but that was a very, very long time ago. Like actually, no, I think it was like back in 2017, somewhere around there. I saw him without his mask.
Yeah, I don't know why I just thought about that, but he just kind of looks like Jeremy to me. I don't know.
I didn't imagine, I don't see Jeremy Lambert in him, honestly. But to be honest, I don't really remember. Like, I just remember the hair mainly. I think I remember the facial hair more than anything on Luchasaurus. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get into this next match that we got here. And this was Eddie Kingston versus Sammy Guevara. Given, this whole entire backstory on Sammy and Eddie Kingston and the whole, him calling him fat, him pie facing him, both of them getting suspended, and all of this drama that went down, this eventually leading up to this match, do you think that, because they also kind of played upon it a little bit today where Sammy Guevara basically calls him fat again. What did you think of this?
Yeah, I feel like they are getting more and more graphic with this makeout session every time they do an entrance. This was the first time where I was like, okay, all right. But his new Tron is fantastic. The Dragon Ball Z thing he's got going, I think that's dope. I thought his gear was dope. I thought the beginning of the match was good. It's interesting because I feel like Ray Phoenix versus Jungle Boy was kind of the pace I expected this match to be because it was more grueling than this match was. But this match was still good. I really liked the finish of it. I like the idea of him hitting him with the spinning back fist 3 times and, keeping the hold on. But boy, did I hate them taking the win away. I thought that was a stupid ending. I get the purpose of it. Because the story they're telling is that he keeps costing himself the match by losing control of his temper. I get that's the story, but I just did not like this ending.
I hated the ending too, personally. And I know they're also doing the whole thing with the referee, with Paul Turner, and this whole, storyline with Tony's tweet earlier in the day. I get all of this, but I didn't like it. I felt like it came across silly, but commentary did acknowledge it right away. So I was like, okay, fine. Like, even though it wasn't my favorite thing for them to do the reversal, I get it. It makes sense with what they've been telling. So that's fine, whatever. But I wasn't a big fan of it. Sammy's Chinatron, I thought was funny. I thought it works well with who Sammy Guevara is. So I did like all of that. In terms of like this whole, like the match itself, I didn't really think it was that great. I think there was a couple moments that I really liked, and that was honestly Eddie Kingston doing like the chops on Sammy. I did like Sammy coming in there with all of those knee strikes, trying to take Eddie Kingston down, but not being able to. I did like all of that. I just didn't love the finish too much.
Yeah, I think their styles don't mesh that well. There were a few spots where Sammy just outright missed a spot, and Eddie tried to quickly cover for it, and some of it just looked a little sloppy. But it was a good match for what it was. If this leads to Eddie getting a rematch with Jericho or something, and he ends up winning the Ring of Honor title, I think that's a good story. But I don't know. This ending just did not work for me.
Yeah, there was one very noticeable. It was the springboard spot with Sammy Guevara. That one was a very noticeable botch. It was too noticeable. I didn't really care for that one. And that's the second time too that I've noticed it, like back-to-back weeks, where we see Sammy Guevara get too shaky on that spot. And then last time he was able to save himself. This time he wasn't able to save himself as much. So it did come across as pretty noticeable. But yeah, the match itself was fine. I just think it should have been a little bit, I don't know. I think I was expecting a little bit more, to be honest. But we're going to go ahead and move on. We do got 2 more matches up for you guys that we still have to talk about, given the main event and the Battle Royal. But before we get to all of that, just a heads up, guys. For those of you who do not know, I am live 3 times a week here on F4W Online. I'm usually not dying this way, so please pardon me for that. I'm usually spunky and, more alert and all of that good stuff. I'm live on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Tuesdays, I'm here to chat NXT. Wednesdays, AEW Dynamite. Friday, SmackDown and Rampage, etc. So anyways, that's the whole deal with me and this channel. So let's get into this golden ticket battle royal for the number 1 contendership spot for the AEW World Championship. We had a shit ton of people in this match. It got to the point where I was like, oh, I didn't even realize this person was in it. Oh, all of a sudden this person is in it. We did end up seeing Hangman Page and Rush were the final 2 guys in this battle royal, with Hangman Page ended up getting the win. He's going to go on to face Jon Moxley in a match at, I believe they said Cincinnati, and that's what's going down there. The Battle Royal itself, I think there were a couple of notable moments, but for the most part, to me, it didn't really get interesting until the final 2 guys were in there, to be honest. Phil, how did you feel about this Battle Royal? Was Hangman Page the person you were expecting to win this match? Would you have liked a different outcome? And were there any other, any spots that really stood out to you?
Yeah, it was a lot of randomness. I mean, I like the payoff of us finally having private party makeup with Matt. That was cool, and them just immediately getting kicked out was funny. I thought I thought the Dalton Castle spot off of the apron and the boys saved him is a fun spot. But a lot of this match was very random. I kind of expected somebody else other than Hangman to win because I kind of feel like they've got to start putting different guys in the title picture soon because we've seen a lot of the same guys revolving in and out. But Hangman makes a lot of sense because he didn't get a match with Mox before. They've never had a one-on-one match. And I think it makes a lot of sense if you're going to have somebody as kind of just a solid defense for Mox before you have the match with Max. This makes perfect sense.
And so Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley, I think is going to be a pretty damn good match, especially for Cincinnati. You got to have like a big match for Jon Moxley. I'm definitely expecting to see MJF be the one to take the belt off of Jon Moxley. I do feel like that's the direction that they're clearly headed in. So I like this. Like, I like that they're giving, Moxley this big match with Hangman Page because part of me was thinking like, I would really like to see Roosh against Jon Moxley, but obviously I think it is a bigger deal to have, Hangman Page versus Jon Moxley. So it all ended up working out, in the end. So I am looking forward to that. I think it'll be pretty damn good. So now for the main event, we had Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks. This was a lights out match. Their story has been a pretty interesting one because, we saw Powerhouse Hobbs turn on Ricky Starks and now you're seeing this all unfold. I have a question for you before we break into this actual match. How have you been feeling about Powerhouse Hobbs' heel turn?
I think it's been great for him. I think he's looked dominant. I think that it's added an edge to him. I think that the new entrance makes him look like a big star. I think it's great. And this was definitely one of those matches out of a bunch of matches from Grand Slam in general where it was just like, okay, I don't want either of these guys to lose.
And that's the thing too with this one here. Like I have like Powerhouse Hobbs, like I thought like the turn itself was one of my favorite things that I had seen on AEW. Like I really, really liked the turn. I thought the turn was awesome. But then afterwards, I didn't really feel like he was doing a great job of like being a heel. I thought that did kind of like fall a little flat for me. But then on today's main event match, like I really liked the presentation of Hobbs. Like I thought he came out and he looked like, he was just going to kick, Ricky Starks' butt. Like, I really, really liked that. I thought that was really good. So the presentation of him definitely improved. And then with just like the finish and everything that they did, it was a fun match. And I'm so glad that they gave it the main event spot too. Because it's like, for me, like given this story, I feel like it should have, I feel like it could have easily not been in the main event. But the fact that they did give it the main event spot just really added so much more to it. I liked all of this, everything that they did when they went on the stage, bringing out that Sceptron light and all of that with Ricky Starks getting the win eventually with the Rochambeau. All of it, top to bottom, I thought just did justice for both guys.
Yeah, I do think that he's improved as a promo as well. I think Hobbs' last few promos have been much better. He comes off much more menacing. And I thought he came off looking like a badass several times in this match. Stealing Justin Roberts' belt and beating Ricky with it. By the way, Ricky's entrance was fantastic with the vignette they showed beforehand. I thought that was incredible. Like you said, I think ripping the light fixture out of the entrance and going to beat Ricky with it, that was also a cool spot. I thought this was a very fun main event. I was glad that these guys got the opportunity. Because it's unsanctioned, it doesn't really hurt Hobbs either. He's still going to stay in the ranking. I hope that we're getting Hobbs Wardlow at some point because that sounds like a cool matchup. But this is a big win for Ricky too. I think this is going to help him. I think the face turn has been tremendous for him. But he just needs like big wins at this point.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing that he needs is those big wins because he has like the promo work is there, the presentation is there. Like you talk about the entrances and we've seen all of these cool like little video packages that have been done for Ricky Starks. I feel like he's always been on the precipice of becoming something more, and it's just like a matter of time till something actually like sparks it. And I feel like this could this feels like this is it. Like this feels like we're finally starting to see Ricky Starks in a new light, and I do hope that they kind of like, continue that momentum for Ricky Starks. Honestly, I really do. Because this was great stuff with him and Powerhouse Hobbs. And same thing with Hobbs. They need to like make sure, because I think like for a while, like he was going out there, he was being pushed. He had that match with CM Punk when CM Punk had barely gotten there. And it was a big deal to like even be in a match with CM Punk at this point. And, and then after that, it kind of felt like there was really nothing happening. And it really wasn't until this, feud with Ricky Starks happened where we finally started seeing something a little bit more happen for Hobbs.
Yeah, I'm glad that he can now have the bragging rights of saying that he won the sanction match. So technically, Ricky has never beat him. He's beat him on a pay-per-view, and he kind of beat him decisively on a pay-per-view as well. So I don't think either of them come out of this looking bad. I thought the way that Ricky beat him made sense, spearing him into the table and then going for the Rochambeau. If he had just beat him straight up in a fight, it wouldn't have been as believable. But him having to go through all of these links to beat him made perfect sense.
100%. All right. We did it. We survived, Phil. We went through the whole SmackDown, the whole Rampage. I don't know how we did it, but I seriously want to thank you for coming on, because if you were not on here, I don't know what I would have done. So seriously, thank you so much for coming on. Guys, I'm so sorry that the show was a little bit shorter than our normal shows, but I do appreciate each and every single person coming on to this show. Please, before you guys go, Phil, please let the people know where they can find you and where they can support you and all of that good stuff.
You can follow me at PhilDL616. You can read my writing at Bleacher Report. And, of course, you can watch Grapsody every Saturday at noon Eastern on Fightful's YouTube channel. I always mix up the YouTube channel, but it's on Fightful's YouTube channel. If you follow me, I always drop the link when we go live. So can't miss it.
You can't miss it, that's for sure. Guys, you know where to find me. Denise Salcedo _ Denise Salcedo all over the place. Give Phil some love, guys. Please, I will see you back here next week. Do not forget to give this video a like, subscribe to F4W Online, and I'll see you guys later. Have a super awesome weekend. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.